Okay, Mindy. Must be in the right place since you're here.
Hey there, how are you?
Good.
Is it just us? Oh, there's John Matson from Alabama.
Can you still hear me, Mindy?
John, can you hear us? Maybe not. Am I on mute?
Like Mikey's here. Thanks for joining us. For everyone who does not know me in person, my name is Kevin Storr. I am the chair of the district, and welcome to our first best practices call. Glad to have you on. We'll start with a roll call with Anna Marshall. She's just going to call out the chapters. If you're here from your chapter, feel free to speak up so we know that you're here. And one thing I do want to point out is some of these are call-ins. If you are somebody calling in, please don't put us on hold at any point. We've had issues in the past couple of years where somebody will put us on hold and then we start hearing hold music and have to end those calls. So if you don't mind, mute us so we don't hear you, but just don't put us on hold. With that, Anna Marshall, take it away.
Guys, I'm having audio issues. Can you guys hear me?
I do hear
Yes.
you. If you don't hear us, I can do it.
Okay, got you. Got you. All right, who's here from Alabama?
John Matson's here.
Georgia?
Mikey Mooney's here.
What about North Carolina? Anna Marshall's here. Tar Heel? Charlotte?
Melanie Davis. And Megan Cefera's here. Hey, guys.
What about, sorry guys, my computer is acting all crazy. South Carolina.
Hi, this is Angela English calling in for Columbia.
Hey, Angela. Lookout.
Kelly Allen here.
Memphis.
Kim Rossi is here.
What about Nashville?
Hi, this is Mary Ruth Raphael.
And this is Meredith Libby.
South Georgia. Tri-Cities.
Hi, this is Mary Ellen Miller.
And Volunteer.
This is Chelsea Riemann. Hey, guys.
And this is Heather Beck.
All right, who did I miss? Anybody?
I think that's it. Thank you. All right, we have Mindy Hughes here. For those who have not met Mindy, she is our liaison, our direct reach out to national, and she has some updates for us. Mindy?
I muted myself and forgot, sorry. Hello everyone, hope everyone's doing great. I'm glad to see that everybody's off to a good start this year. I follow you all your chapters on social media, and I subscribe to your e-newsletters for those chapters that have them. So it's nice to see everybody ramping up and getting activity happening and serving members, so that's very exciting. I will be in touch with all of the Southeast District chapters over the next few days with chapter presidents. I'm going to be scheduling some first quarter calls with you all just to kind of check in and just have a touch base with you to see how things are going. probably spend about 30 minutes or so on the phone with you. So if you're a chapter president, or if you're not, just let your chapter president know that they'll be hearing from me within the next few days. I've been making the rounds of my districts, and I've completed all my calls with the Sunshine chapters and with most of my Mid-Atlantic folks. So you guys are up next. One other thing I wanted to mention to you all, I just heard this yesterday from the folks at headquarters, and I know that this is a popular speaker in Southeast. Michael Smart is having an event in Atlanta in March 21st to 22nd, Secrets of Media Relations Masters. It sounds like another great event. I know we had Michael at the district conference in Birmingham in 2017. His workshops do tend to fill up quickly, so if anyone is interested in that, check it out on the PRSA website. Make a little jaunt to Atlanta and check that out. Kevin, I think that's all I had. If anybody has any questions, happy to answer them, and I'll be on the call the whole time if anything else comes up.
Great. Thank you, Mindy. I also wanted to go through a couple of our district personnel. This is so the chapter president, so you know who you're looking to, as well as hear what we're going to try and work on this year. I think that's one of the things we always talk about year in and year out, like what is our value to the chapters? What is our purpose out here? And so we were working on a few things this year in terms of becoming more active and doing a little more research. And we'll start with communications. Stephanie Skordas, who is the also co-president of Tar Heel, she is running our communications, and she's unable to join us, but her focus is going to be on website and getting that more up to speed, more updated and all that. She's also working with Heather Beck and Chelsea Riemann as well. So Heather, if you could go first, and then Chelsea, please.
Sure. So I am, as part of our social media team, running the Twitter account for the chapter, and I'm basically just focusing on amplifying some important announcements and information that might be useful to either our members or our local chapters.
Hey, and this is Chelsea Riemann, and on the other side, the flip side, I am handling the Facebook page and sort of doing the same for the district Facebook account, just trying to put out important announcements that everyone can benefit from.
Thank you both. And if you have these announcements, your chapter's doing events, please let us know. And that way we can help you promote those out there. On Twitter, it's SEPRSA. On Facebook, it's Southeast District PRSA, but you guys know how to find us. Next, we have Ashley Dusenberg, who is in South Carolina, and she is heading up our accreditation.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley Dusenberry, representing South Carolina, and I'm so excited to focus on accreditation for our district. And what I'm trying to do is build a network of APRs within the district. So there will be a wonderful group of resources for not only the chapters within our district who don't have an accreditation chair or someone in that effort, but also just to really expand the opportunity for others within our district and beyond who just simply don't have someone right in front of them as a mentor. So right now I'm in the process of reaching out to all the chapter presidents and accreditation chairs now. So lots more to come. And I just wanted to thank Mindy for her help to double check and quadruple check my list of all of the contacts and the chapters within our district. It's important to start with a good list. So I have it now thanks to Mindy, and I look forward to sharing more with you soon about my efforts to elevate accreditation within our district.
Great. Thank you, Ashley. Next, we'll talk about our district conference. We're not doing one this year, and part of that is we want to make sure that we're putting together something that is the best of the best, that people will want to travel for. And so we're looking at a lot of different things, and our past chair, Kelly Rossi, is here to chat about that. Where she was. We'll come back to her if she pops back on. Basically just doing research. You'll hear from us asking about those efforts there. And then a strategic plan. I think we go into anything, we want to know what we're doing this year, next year, and the years beyond. We want to be able to tell you this is what we're doing for you. Brad Belote, our chair-elect, is going to discuss his efforts there.
Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, really looking at our strategic framework and how we're providing value to the chapters. What is it we should be doing that provides the most robust set of resources and support for the chapters to move them along, whether you're a large chapter or a small chapter? What's the best kind of engagement to help you guys along and the things you're trying to do?
All right, thank you, Brad. And I've got a couple notes here on the feedback. If you are not chatting at this point, if you would hit mute on your button, because we're starting to get a lot of feedback since we have a lot of folks here. And so we're glad to have everybody here. You'll notice that in the, at least in my computer, it's in the lower left-hand corner. With all of that, thank you everyone in the district. We are all available. You can find us on our website if you need to reach out to any of us here. I'd like to introduce Mike Mooney, who is our guest speaker today. Mike's an account supervisor and operations director in the Atlanta office of Poston Communications. Did I pronounce that right, Mikey?
That's right.
All right. He earned PRSA Georgia's Chapter Champion Award in June 2016 and their Rising Star Award in 2017. For our purposes, he's worked on soliciting and coordinating sponsorships for PRSA Georgia's annual conference since 2014. That is coming up. We'll promote that as well. But without further ado, Mikey is here to talk about sponsorships. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Really excited to talk through some of the lessons learned, and I pulled together a little presentation that'll hopefully share some of the concrete ideas that might be worth taking away. So I'll share that now. Look at that. All right. So basically a quick rundown. I've been working with the conference here in Georgia since 2014, and in 2017 we decided to take a step back and get really serious about being organized with sponsorships, because as you can imagine, putting together a conference is not cheap, a lot of costs associated, and if people are wanting to give us money to help, more power to them. And so with that, we got a lot more organized in determining our target lists, pulling together templated language so more people could reach out, and keeping records so that we could keep everything really buttoned up for the following years and keep the processes and best practices coming along. In 2018, we combined that annual conference with the real world student event that we put on each year, which led to $26,000 of sponsorships from different agencies, companies, vendors throughout the state, and mostly based here in Atlanta, which gave us this idea of, pulling two events together with one sponsorship committee might lead to some other opportunities down the road to build on these other sponsorship opportunities. We've already had listed our chapter awards that we do each year, e-marketing type of sponsorship opportunities. And then the other point worth noting is that in addition to sponsorships, a lot of what we've done has been seeking out in-kind partners to offset costs. So with the annual conference, printing out those programs could get very expensive, or having a designer to pull that program together can get really costly. So having partners that would offset the cost. So we're getting revenue from sponsors and trying to get rid of expenditures by having some valuable partners. So with all that said, this year we decided to pull together a sponsorship and partnerships committee, where instead of having a dedicated sponsorship group for each event, it'll be a little bit more centralized to help us more efficiently manage the sponsorship outreach, develop really great relationships, and make asking for money a little bit easier. And then also a quick shout out to the co-chairs of that committee, Elaine Armstrong and Nora DePalma. Not sure if they can make the call, but they've been really great to work with so far. But really the idea behind this is now we can work with each committee to develop these new sponsorship packages that will offer more opportunities for our chapter to bring in money outside of just the conference or any of the other events. So we can create new creative sponsorship products that provide value for both our members, obviously the first and foremost of anything we do, but also certain partners that might come along in way of increased exposure. And so this way we can work with the different committee heads and really together collaborate and come up with new ideas. And then also having this as a centralized piece of our chapters that we can collaborate with vendors to think outside of the box on what ideas work best for them. For example, we had one independent counselor interested in sponsoring the annual conference, but those packages were more tailored to agencies or in-house departments or even schools from around the region. So we were able to work with them and create a smaller package that made sense, since he didn't have people to man a booth or anything like that. He's just going to leave materials at our luncheon and gave us a smaller fee for that, but that's money we didn't have beforehand. And then another point to working with each committee is that the committee leads of each different piece of the PRSA chapter, whether it's the people who manage the website. We're proud to have launched a diversity and inclusion committee. We can work with, in our job board, our career center folks, we can work with them to sort of jumpstart a sponsorship committee because those are people that automatically have connections with their agencies, their whatever organization they're with, and also are immediately able to identify new creative outlets for us to solicit sponsors. But then the big picture piece of this is, instead of us running to an agency or a big corporation like Coca-Cola for one-off requests, we can really chart the entire year out of each individual sponsorship opportunity. So we're asking for sponsors for our February conference right now. Next year, the plan is we can offer a package that includes the conference, our chapter award celebration, and then everything in between that we work out, so we can provide more value, a more robust package, and have a centralized database of who we're asking for each individual thing. So that's sort of where we've been and where we're going and the logic of why we're doing that. But as we start this next chapter of having a more robust sponsorship commitment, figured we would go through some of the lessons that we've learned over the past couple of years that will be sort of guiding principles. One of the most important pieces to this puzzle was finding out who we're going to solicit as sponsors. And really that comes down to, and I think a lot of this is very much analogous to the work that we do as public relations professionals, particularly on the media relations side. You know, you have your story or what you're trying to pitch on behalf of a client or your organization, who then is the audience that will receive this or that this is important to. We sort of had the same thought process in determining how we're going to pick who to reach out and with our hands out for money. Who can benefit from engaging with our members? And there are a million questions you can ask yourself to figure this out, but some of the ones that we tossed around the table when trying to pull out that list was, who calls your agency or your organization to sell their services? At my agency, I personally help out with a lot of the IT operations and different things like that. So we're getting software providers, Meltwater, Cision, general business services. I get a call a week from Comcast. They're not immune to me calling them back. Different marketing vendors. We even pulled out the Atlanta Business Chronicle's list of marketing agencies because there could be valuable partners there that for agencies that would make sense to want to promote their services at our event. Organizations that are highly active in our chapter, being in Atlanta, we're very fortunate to have, our events being in Atlanta, we're very fortunate to have some large corporations that are very active for the purposes of recruiting, or and then there are a lot of agencies that want to be in front of those members as they try to sell their services. So there are a lot of reasons that someone would be highly active in your chapter. So it's definitely worth asking them if they want to be active in the way of sponsorship and getting some of the free promotion that comes along with that. And then as a PR practitioner yourself, or as a leader of your chapter, what services do you often find yourself shopping for? Photo shoots, videographers, that sort of thing, event venues. If you're hosting an event, what do you commonly go to? Those are types of people that would want more business from PR folks. And even to that point, my agency gets calls from the Atlanta Hawks or different sporting type teams that are looking to sell group tickets or business tickets for us to try and wine and dine different clients or potential clients. So different things like that. And then recruiting is another selling point for participating. Where do you find your talent? Job sites, looking at different talent agencies, recruiters, that type of deal. Local and regional colleges that both want to be a pipeline for PR talent into the agencies represented by PRSA, and also those that want to sell their graduate school services to current members. And so there are a lot of different ways you can think about who you could provide value to, but this is just a list of some of the questions we asked ourselves. And then the other piece that I think is analogous to what we do is I personally find that a lot of junior people tend to struggle with pitching media, making phone calls out of nervousness of rejection. And the coaching point is often you're offering them something of value. We work with the media to provide valuable information, resources, content, whatever it might be to them. And so in asking for sponsors, that's the same piece that we tell our committee members is we're offering them something valuable, and we want to be sure to clearly state that in the language that we provide for them to ask. And then also when we're developing the sponsorship options, making sure that there is real value there for the potential sponsors, whether that's exposure in our newsletters, obviously boosts at our events. We're offering out internship listings for people that are sponsoring the student portion of our conference, exposure at the event, and the opportunity to engage with our membership by being able to attend different events or luncheons or whatever it might be. And then it's also worth asking them what would be valuable to them as you're developing these packages. And then obviously in-kind partnerships that benefit the chapter and its members. Great example is we're working with Full Tilt Consulting here in Atlanta to support our 40 Under 40 awards. They're helping us to put on the event and market it and that sort of thing. And we're letting the world know how much they're helping us in a bunch of different ways in all of our different outlets. Newsletter, each monthly luncheon, thanking them for their participation, and obviously attending our different events, and ad in our programs for the award ceremony, all that sort of thing. And then the big thing that we found is helpful of alleviating any fear of asking someone for money, whether big or small, is having templated email language or phone scripts so that when you're reaching out, it's a lot less that you feel you are being rejected. They're rejecting what we're offering as a chapter. And so it sort of takes away the fear and any hesitation that I've ever had of asking a member to call someone with your hand out. I think it's really, really helpful. And then a part of that language is, I think you have 1 to 3 sentences to clearly identify the value of what you're offering them, whether it's come see members from this type of organization that's clearly a fit for what we know is your plan. And so an example of just what we've offered as the value add, and this is a big old table, but I believe we're going to send out the slide later, but just a way of laying out what we offered for our individual packages for the annual conference over the past couple of years. And this can give you some ideas of the different items that you have to offer. Some of them have a cost to them, complimentary attendances to our conference. There's a cost per head associated with planning any event, as you all know. But then there are items like a job ad on our website. Look Who's Hiring is a job ad that we'll blast out to our membership. Recognition on the website, being a volunteer-run chapter, those aren't things that carry any extra inherent costs. So getting creative with things like that can help you to boost value. And then I think the biggest value of having our centralized committee is it makes it easier to replicate the process. And so your lowest hanging fruit of potential sponsors are going to be people that have participated before. So we're going to make a huge push this year and into the years that follow of prioritizing renewals. And the way you do that is offering valuable partnerships, managing that relationship like you would a reporter or a client that you don't want to fire you, and being really careful to that. And I think a part of that is obviously we're pulling together a database almost to act as a CRM, so we know where the touch points are, how things are going, notes, also incorporating a checklist of the deliverables so we know we're not falling down on managing those relationships. And going back to recruiting a committee to help with this, one way that we're approaching this is some people are going to be afraid to ask for sponsorships. Some people are going to be less great at managing the deliverables and being organized and handling that. So as we're building our committee, we're looking for people that are willing to go out and solicit sponsorships, ask for money, not afraid of going to do that, but also people that are more comfortable with relationship management, handling the deliverables, the administration aspect of making sure that everything's organized and moving forward. And then a part of that is collecting feedback and making adjustments as we go. Like I said earlier, we want to make sure that we're tailoring our packages so that we're offering something actually valuable to anyone that's willing to participate. And then the formalized committee just gives us an opportunity to have year-over-year continuity so that our broad perspective on our 2019 goals and asks can be thought about when we look at 2020 and start to think of where those relationships exist and everything else. And I believe that's all that I really had. Let me stop sharing, there we go. Sort of a high level, not super in the weeds on the specifics of everything we did, but just a little bit more of the guidelines and things we've learned. But I'm happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
Mikey, I'm curious on the renewals. What kind of proof points are you going into that conversation with to help reinforce the value proposition that you pitch them?
So I think that's a great, as we develop our next steps to it, I think we are looking at creating surveys to ask for those specific returns on investment, just like you would with any client of, looking at, we secured this type of coverage or we helped develop this type of messaging. Can you give us any anecdotal or specific feedback on what that meant? And I think once we have that questionnaire in place, which is again a part of the year-over-year, we'll be better able to address that. And I think that boosts the selling proposition significantly. Even as we go into next year, if we have, this sponsors that supported our career fair for the college portion of our conference, we're able to report 3 great interns that turned into full-time hires or whatever, or X percentage of the spots they were trying to fill turned into full-time hires. And that's another element of that is, I think as we begin to develop those surveys, it's going to be, identifying what those objectives were and creating those surveys to tie to that. So our career fair sponsors are certainly going to be different surveys than what our professional sponsors might be. But as of right now, again, we're in year 1 of the year-over-year concept, so I think that's a brilliant idea of trying to elevate that even more.
And Mike, I have a question if nobody else has one at this point. We have people, when we've looked at sponsorships in the past, where their concerns, maybe it's ethically asking clients to donate money, like that type of thing. How do you work around that, or do you not see problems with that yourselves?
No, I think that's a fair question, and I think if you do feel any ethical concerns over it, you shouldn't do it. And I think a lot of times will come down to that client relationship. And we're in a unique position in representing our clients to know what their sales goals and their business development goals are. So I think you're in a unique position to only suggest it to them if it makes sense for what their goals are. But if you also feel that you are overstepping your, right to that information and asking for something that supports your professional association development and just interests, I think that's something that you should certainly be cognizant of and draw your own lines. And to the point of a committee, you could even look at having another person serve as that liaison without bringing you into it.
Yeah, good point. Cool, thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, this is Meredith Libby in Nashville. It looks like a lot of the value of the sponsorship is tied to the annual conference, and I'm wondering how much it costs to attend the conference, and we don't have an annual conference. What advice you might have for us?
Sure. So the actual, to the first question, the regular attendance for our annual conference for members is around $170. So with our $500 buy-in, you get that attendance, which creates an immediate value to where you're getting hopefully $330 worth more of value in the rest of the package. And to that point, what we have on display today is very annual conference heavy, because that's what transitioned us into making this chapter-wide committee a piece. The roadmap now that we've carved out, now that we're a little bit further along with our conference coming up next Friday, and that's getting close to being in the rearview mirror, our next steps are developing packages that tie specifically to our other events. We have the chapter award celebration that we'll have in November, and so making a concerted effort to get with that committee and see what they have planned for each piece of it, whether it's they need sponsors to support a giveaway that will keep people engaged throughout the evening, whether it's an opportunity to include centerpieces that could be a little bit of side money we would obviously welcome. And then other committees, we have our social media committee and our jobs center that provides inherent value to our members that are interested in knowing more about the chapter or looking to make hiring decisions. There's an opportunity there to identify the different pieces they have, whether it's the Look Who's Hiring e-blast that our chapter sends out. Having that sponsored there, where it's essentially a newsletter ad, but that's another way to create value. So I think the real answer is working with what your chapter has and cross-checking that with who you feel your chapter can provide value to, and meeting them in the middle of, we have this as an option, this is what I think potential sponsors in our chapter would be interested in, and seeing where the opportunities are. And it's we're meeting with our different committee leads this afternoon, and my hope is to have some of that brainstorming conversation today, and I'm definitely happy to report back.
Great. And then one other question, just in terms of level setting, how many members do you have in your chapter?
We are I believe we're always hovering around 900. So we do have that benefit of being very large and having a lot of resources to go to. A lot of different companies, a lot of different agencies that are here in our market. But that's all to say that, I would certainly recommend that piece of getting feedback from potential sponsors, or even before you have concrete sponsorship plans in place, maybe going to someone that could be interested in starting the conversation with what would be valuable to you. Here are some options, and then working with them in that give and take sort of negotiation style, which we've done a lot with our in-kind partnerships this year, of having a set forth agreement of, we can get you these 5 things in exchange for, one is a video production company that's providing videos that highlight the value of membership in PRSA. And so it's finding that value of what we need from you and what we can provide for that, and meeting in the middle.
Thank you.
Other questions for Mikey?
Yes, I have a question. We've done pretty well with sponsorships in Charlotte, but unfortunately, it seems like this year we're struggling to even get people on the committee. So how are you able to recruit people on your committee?
Yeah, so we've taken the approach of, again, starting the committee is going to be largely the brain trust of our co-chairs and myself, working with the other committee heads to get a head start on what they're seeing and having those leadership brainstorming. but finding the committee to facilitate that, the approach we've taken is really separating out the ask, I would say. We're looking for people that are willing to get on the phone or send emails to solicit sponsors. That's one role. And then a second role of managing those relationships. And so to avert the fear of asking someone to join this committee just to cold call people, we're looking for people that can fill that other role of sponsorship and relationship management, and then also finding those people that want to be cold calling hawks. And then the other piece of that is communicating clearly that we're not looking to send you out without the information or easy tools to use, like those email templates that just clearly state, you know, on behalf of PRSA Georgia, we wanted to reach out and see your interest in participating in this event, and here's the value. And having that simpler language, I think, really helps to avoid anyone being overly nervous, since you're giving them the tools that they need rather than asking for too much in the way of putting your own self personally and emotionally on the line to ask for something like that.
Hey, and this is Denise Grant with Georgia. You know, to find these people, you know, it's, you talk to people at our monthly luncheons, you know, new members who want to get involved. Those, you know, those are the people who, you know, may be willing to, you know, to step out there and help with this committee.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions?
I'd love to share that presentation with our sponsorship chair, who was not able to be on the call today. Is that possible?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah, Mikey has sent the PowerPoint to me. I plan to send out a survey after this, looking at our future calls as well. I will include that with it. We also were working with Mindy to get this Zoom meeting posted online at some point in the near future too, so they can have the PowerPoint as well as listen to everything that's said and all the Q&A that we've had too.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Mikey. I do want to promote their conference one more time. It is Friday, February 22nd. It's coming up, and the Georgia chapter is kind enough to offer their chapter rates to all the district members. So if you want to attend, you go to their site, prsageorgia.org. When you click register, you go through the process as a Georgia member, and then you click on, or you enter the code PRSA Southeast. You'll also see that in the email I initially shared with everyone about this call. So that is coming up, and you can always go and you can ask Mikey all the questions you want in person as well. Mikey, thank you so much for joining us. Also, as I mentioned, we will send the PowerPoint as well as a survey, because we want to know what future topics everyone wants to discuss. So thank you everyone for attending, and we look forward to chatting with you next time. Take care.
Thanks. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks.
You too.
Bye.
Hi, Tarek. Amy.